Very good. So, okay, let's start. Good evening, Peter Hammerschmidt from Assos. Really exciting that you join us. And when I'm speaking about Assos, I thought about Assos the last couple of days, obviously a lot. And when I grew up getting into cycling, it was in the 80s, 90s. And when somebody had a pair of Assos shorts, this was the best thing I think you could own. And that made you really a road cyclist. I think it was just like something very special about the brand. And when you saw someone, obviously, I was starting more with mountain biking, so it was a little bit different to see somebody obviously with brown shaved legs, the thin frames, and the whole aura of you having like a road cyclist in Assos shorts. Was something special. So I didn't really know so much about the brand. I knew it's something special, and I think it's just something so comfortable. And obviously, a few years later, we decided to open a bike shop in Dubai in 2002, and we looked at different brands, and we thought, okay, what's the brand we need to have? Because Dubai, obviously, being a place where people are looking for the best quality in the world, and we thought, okay, what's the best cycling short in the world? And then for us, luckily, we've found Assos, and we've found a partnership with Assos, and you were one of our first partners there, and we made some really good things. So we're really proud to be part of the Assos family, and I'm really excited to speak to you about all the products and all the developments over the past years. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Peter.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. So it's really an honor to be part of your long list of interviews. So I checked it out a bit before and saw all the pros that you interviewed already. So very happy to be here with you today.
Very good, thank you. We have obviously a few of the guys. We spoke to Nino Schurter, we spoke to Fabian Cancellara, we're thinking of speaking to Patrick Sebas, and obviously you addressed the national team of Switzerland since many years. You worked with Fabian in 2009 on the World Championships. Time trial suit, and he always obviously he looked very fast, and he was very fast. So and you told me as well you work with the national team on many different sports. So can you tell us a bit about the cooperation with the national team?
Yeah, it was Swiss cycling that started pretty early. I think it around 2003 or even 2002 we started working with them. I mean, yes, we always looked for the road part of that, but once you sponsor the federation, there are all kinds of different disciplines in cycling that you need to equip as well, where sometimes we don't really have the know-how, what they actually need, but that's also very exciting for us as a team, and especially our product developers to get that new challenge. But yes, I mean, starting from 2002, especially the road cycling team was really strong. Yeah, Cancellara is really well known, and it was actually pretty lucky for Assos because, I mean, the first product of Assos was actually a chrono suit. So the real DNA was actually in developing a very good aero suit, and having Fabian, being so strong, that was actually very good for us. And with him, we developed quite a lot of different chrono suits for the Olympics, for the World Championships, and that trickled down also in our shorts collection, actually, that know-how. So it was very good for us, and still is good for us.
Very cool. Obviously, you're not only working with Fabian Cancellara and Nino Schurter. We have a short clip, and Will play a short clip of the history of Assos, and we're going to see some super famous cyclists in there, which were lucky to be wearing your Assos shorts for their races. And Will, if you don't mind to play the clip, please, for us.
Als je beroepsrenner bent, dan moet je toch goede kleding hebben. En dat is wel een hele goede verbinding met Assos geworden.
Et c'était une révolution. C'est vraiment le début, pour moi, des matériaux modernes dans le cyclisme.
C'est la novedad en Espagne.
Pour les séjours, moi j'ai toujours c'est les favoris Assos.
think like most riders of my generation, it was a kind of start of the high tech in clothing.
Irgendwann sagte man mir, du hast eine Revolution gemacht in der Bekleidung.
Very cool. That's a good list of names you have there. Oh my God, yeah, how many years and how many victories of Tour de France and everything. That's really cool, yeah. And it started all in 1976 with Assos. Can you tell us a bit about the whole story?
Yeah, right. So actually we did that video for the 40th anniversary of Assos, so back in 2016. Yeah, it was actually just a side product because we saw just in the end of the clip Tony Maurer, who founded Assos in '76, but he was more kind of an engineer, and he was a bit fanatic about aerodynamics of the bike frame. Mm-hmm. So back then he got hold of carbon fiber at that stage that wasn't really used or only in the aeronautics, so it was actually pretty difficult to get hold of carbon fiber, and he tested then a kind of V-shaped tube or V-shaped tubes and made a bicycle frame out of that, and went then at the ETH in Zurich, so they had the wind tunnel, and tested the position of the cyclist on it and also the aerodynamics of the bike frame, and then he found out that actually what the cyclist is wearing is very, very important for aerodynamics. So at the time it was still wool and acryl, not really tight fitting. And then he had a friend who was the coach of the Swiss downhill skiing team, and at that time they were wearing already lycra full-on suits. So he got one of those, cut the arms and legs off, put the rider in, and tested it again. And then actually he found out that, okay, we need to make lycra apparel for cyclists to be very aerodynamic. So, and that's how everything started. And then the wife of Tony started then helping him, sewing the first lycra shorts then in '76. Yeah, so that's actually the birth of Assos.
Fantastic. Yeah, 1978, I think you had the first anatomical shaped aero suit for rider. I think that was kind of a groundbreaking invention. And I have been lucky to be in the factory in Switzerland to see how people work on the shorts. And I'm always amazed how this is possible, because obviously you see that short when it's nicely packed in the box and you take it out and you think, and you don't really think about how it's made, but I think really the labor and the handcraft which goes into a short, and I saw the ladies working on it. How long does it take to make from the first cutting until a short is really ready and it goes into a box? Do you know? Have you got a time, or what do you think approximately is the time?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're difficult of products, but when we take a bib short that is not too complex, we're talking about 35 to 40 minutes. That's the minimum, but this can really go up to even an hour. And that doesn't include actually the manufacturing of all the components, especially the insert. I mean, there we're working together with a long-time partner, Elastic Interface. That takes also a lot of time, but just collecting the parts around minimum 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And how many people work at Assos at the moment?
I think today we are around 130 around the world. So which is quite unique. We are still, as you mentioned, producing also in Switzerland. We're doing a lot of prototypes or special makes, especially for the federations or the pro team, since we're sponsoring NTT. So that's a luxury to have all the know-how at the headquarters. So that's why, we also have quite a lot of sewing ladies still working in Ticino at the headquarters.
Very good. I remember very well 2009, the World Championship in Switzerland, Fabian Cancellara, a lot of pressure, and then wearing that Swiss suit, and then obviously kind of demolishing the rest of the field, having enough time to celebrate, going over the finish line. This must be amazing for a company to succeed with a suit and give this to the fastest rider in the world. And so do you remember a bit about the development of the suit? You have been with Assos many years. So how was that?
Yeah, I mean, there, especially developing chrono suits, we always went into the wind tunnel, and I mean, it's a lot about, we call it body mapping, so that you really have, it's like a second skin, so no wrinkles. And at that time, it started already also to not have a flat textile, but a structured textile. So we can always compare that to a golf ball. I mean, they are not completely flat, but they have those little bumps in there actually to stabilize the ball. And it's pretty similar then to a fabric on a chrono suit. So to actually cut those turbulences and making it faster. So, and then, okay, position on the bike, super important. So working with those pros and especially with Fabian, helped us a lot to gain more know-how, and I said before, also trickle that down into our normal collection.
Very cool. You work as well in the Formula One. You work with Mercedes. You work with AMG. So they pick you as their supplier, and we've seen the riders obviously using, when they come here for Formula One racing in Abu Dhabi, they riding and they have the clothing. So did you work with them closely to learn even more about aerodynamics? They give you some tips, or how is this cooperation coming along?
I mean, it's amazing to see how many engineers actually riding bikes there. So I think more than 2/3 of the teams actually are pretty keen cyclists. I think that's how everything started, with the cooperation there. And yes, we then, when we made a closer partnership, we had also access to the wind tunnel there. So to test our products in the wind tunnel. So that was a little bit the idea behind, to also look a little bit outside of the box, not just within cycling apparel, but I mean, Formula One is known for, being extreme about aerodynamics. So we got quite a bit of insight there, yes.
Very cool. Looking out of the box, you said, and obviously then we have to speak about Sego glasses. Which is a new product, or I don't know, a new product which was launched in 2011. I think something really special and really a unique look for the glasses, and a lot of history and story about the whole product. Can you tell us a bit more about Sego?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess, not easy for a apparel brand to get into a field where, I mean, there are big brands out there, well known, and making also great products. But we felt that, there's still room for a very specific, road cycling glass and sunglass. And I mean, Bochmeyer, the son of Tony, I mean, he loved glasses, first of all. I mean, he's the person behind all our developments. So, and he worked for a long time on those glasses, and had also different connections to different suppliers. But then we really developed our own glass, and especially this frameless, and also that we call it tunnel vision. So we work with size to have the upper part really like a sunglass, and the lower third, let's say, really clear. So actually, when you get into a dark situation, you just need to lift your head to actually see clear. That was pretty unique at the time. So it was an innovation from our side.
Yes, no, I love them. They're really, I have sensitive eyes with the wind, and if you go, maybe because I'm going so fast, maybe, I'm not sure. And then maybe the protection is very nice, and they give a very nice view, and you don't really see you wearing something. You just see everything so much clearer, which is really nice. And my wife, Gabi, loves the glasses as well. And they look really special. And I think there's something unique about them. And I think you can immediately see, okay, that's a pair of Assos sunglasses. Really nice, really cool. Amazing product. Yeah, so fantastic. You work with the American cycling team since 2016. US cycling, that's as well another big benchmark for Assos, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned in your intro that at the time, 80s, I mean, it was very rare to see somebody wearing Assos. I mean, there we were really exclusive. Then over the years, we have built up a pretty good distribution in Europe. I mean, it's still by far our strongest region. But it's since 15, 20 years, we're trying to get more and more business also in the US. I mean, it's a huge market. But I mean, there's a different education, let's say, about cycling at the mass market, let's say, or mass level. So we said sponsoring actually the federation will make us much more visible to those that are keen cyclists, let's say, in the US. And in 2016, we started with them, both road and mountain bike. So that's an important partnership for us, yes.
Very good. Obviously, for us being in Dubai, where the weather is mostly nice, and if we call it not nice, then it's just because it's so warm. We don't really have the winter conditions, so we really get only, I don't know, 30-40% of the full collection. And I think really when I think back of riding in Germany, it's now almost 20 years ago then I'm riding in Germany with my bike, but okay, obviously having an extremely good winter collection was always something everyone and all the cyclists, when they needed to train, appreciated. And it was always something special. If you had an Assos jacket and Assos clothing, that was a unique piece. So you really made a big difference of that whole layer system. We really invented this kind of clothing style. So can you tell us a bit more, when people really go during the winter to go to Europe and they need the clothing, what should they get and how should they dress themselves for colder temperature?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we always say dressing in summer, it's not easy, but it's much easier than actually when the temperature drops. So, because then with wind, cold air, and it might even rain, that is really difficult. And especially when you then add also long climbs, long downhills, it makes it even more difficult, let's say, to dress properly. And that's, I think we are ideally located in the southern part of Switzerland, in the Alps or at the edges of the Alps, to actually develop those products. And it started already in '95 when we launched the Millennium Collection, which was a complete winter outfit in different colors. But then we really launched we call it the Assos layering system in 2006, where we have everything starts with the base layer, which is very, very important when you go on the bike in colder conditions, because that's the first contact with your skin. And the challenge is always to keep the skin as dry as possible when you're riding. And even if it's cold outside and you are riding pretty hard, you're going to sweat. So the first exercise, let's say, is taking the sweat from your skin and then pass it to the next layer. And there it really depends the temperature that you're riding. I mean, with membranes on arms and on the front part, we usually say temperatures needs to drop below kind of 12 degrees, let's say. Before that, it's actually better to wear kind of an open fabric, because that's always better to breathe. So yeah, how to dress when, it really depends on the weather forecast and where you ride, and also how fast you ride. The faster you ride, the more you sweat.
Yeah, absolutely. We normally maybe face here in Dubai some mornings when it's really cold, like 6, 7, 8 degrees, but mostly I think it's 10 plus. So then we never really, and rain is as well not something we see a lot. Maybe there's a couple of days a year. And we can really pick these days and stay at home. You don't have to really ride when it's raining. So unfortunately, we don't really get to enjoy the Assos gear as much. Yeah, but what we get to enjoy is obviously the Assos padding, and I think you're obviously known for the fantastic chamois. The colors are always quite unique. We had orange, we had purple, we had gray, we had black. What's it behind the color coding?
I can see you have been selling Assos since quite a while. And you know all the colors. Yeah, so that's right. It's a little unique thing to recognize a little bit the generation of the shorts.
Yes.
So yeah, the orange one was actually the very first elastic insert, because until 2002, I think it was, we had the kind of a leather chamois. That you always had to put some grease on, and it gets soft after washing. So that was actually pretty difficult. And the issue was that you have a lycra short, but the elastic or the insert wasn't elastic. So that created, shaving on the skin. And especially in this area, you always sweat. And then on a wet skin, shaving isn't good. So I think the big step was in 2002 when we launched the first company, an elastic insert. And that was orange. We called the S2 generation. And in 2003, we came out also with 3 different shorts. So with let's say a short distance, a medium distance, and kind of a racing long distance bib short. And then, since then, we are every 6 to 7 years, we are launching a kind of a new generation. So in 2008, it was this kind of light green insert, called it the clinic color. That was then the S5 generation. And then in 2014, we launched the S7, the game changer, which was this kind of purple. And now the clip that we were supposed to see, it's kind of this grayish insert. That's the S9 collection.
Very good. So I think this is the start for S9. We try it again, S9 collection. Now we go. Yes. Very cool. Very nice. How difficult is it? When you have now the S9, and obviously, in 2 or 3 years, you have to come up with something new, a new development. Are you holding back any ideas because you're afraid you're not going to make the chamois any better? Or how is the development going? Because obviously, every time we get an Assos short, we think, okay, that's it. That's the best you can ever do. And then you surprise us after a couple of years, surprise us again with having learned again, having improved everything again. So can you tell us a bit more about the S9?
Yeah, the S9, the major part was actually not the insert itself here. So it's more the construction around the insert because, as you said, it's not easy to always make a revolution, let's say, of the bib shorts. So we improved slightly the insert. But the main part was actually the construction of the shorts itself. So now the S9, the RS, so our racing shorts are made out of 3 panels only. So we reduced the amount of seams because seams are always a potential point of friction. So reducing those was also only possible because we have now a fabric that is in certain directions more elastic than in others. So by having also innovation in the textiles and the fabrics and on other parts of the shorts, that helps us to improve our shorts. And especially now the back part of the shorts is very visible. We call it the A-lock system, that the bibs are actually going to the lowest seam on the back, which actually then holds the insert in position. And this is very important. Once you get out of the cell, you sit back again, that the chamois itself always stays in the same position. Otherwise, you don't feel comfortable. So that's the main innovation, let's say, of the S9 shorts. Very
nice. And you have for the racing shorts, you make a thinner padding, and for the training shorts, you make a slightly thicker padding. So how would you, when a customer decides how to buy an Assos short, where do you make the differentiation? What do you think is the best thing, a guiding parameter for somebody who wants to go into Assos universe? What's the best way forward?
Yeah. So yeah, that was a long discussion internally. Also, how would we make it easy for our customers to understand what's best for them in the Assos world, and say. So we divided now our range into mainly two collections. One is the RS, which is the racing equipment. It's also stuff that is really worn by the Swiss cycling team, by the NTT team. So really like the pros. And we have our GT collection, which is more really based around comfort, also slightly cut wider, not so extreme about aerodynamics. So the main focus there is on the comfort. So somebody that is not really a racer, we usually say GT might be the better product for you. And right now we only have one bib short out there, but the big news is going to be next year, since we're going to add two other bib shorts in the GT line, a little bit playing on training, medium to long distances and ultra long distances. So that's going to be very exciting for next year.
Very nice. And you always come up with really cool names for your products. We spoke before about the sunglasses, Sego. Obviously the sizing is interesting, TIR. We have a cuckoo's nest. There's some cool things you mentioned. So where do you get the names from? And what is, for example, Sego? Is there a meaning behind Sego?
Well, not that I'm aware of. So we have a lot of fantasy names. Some have some meaning. Some others are just fantasy names. Yeah, it's mainly the product development team. I mean, it's a really nice, cool team. And I mean, what's behind there? I mean, business is very serious, and we said, why not adding a bit of fun to it by having also those very memorable names? Because to just give it a number or some letters makes it very boring, let's say. Yeah. So, but we're changing also a bit our product names, because it's important actually when people are searching in the web and so on for the product, that they find the rain jacket, they find the winter jacket, and not, even though they don't know those creative names. So.
I have one memory of the orange padding, because it's many years back. We had an early morning ride in Dubai. Sometimes in the summer it gets really hot, and we have people who start early morning. People get dressed in the dark, and I remember one morning I'm riding in the group, and I'm looking through the group, and the light comes up, and I see one guy, and on his bum there's this big orange piece, and I'm coming closer, and then I ride up to him and said, "Listen, was it dark when you got dressed this morning?" And he said, "Yes." "How do you know?" And I said, "Yeah, because you have your shorts inside out." So he was wearing the pad outside, and obviously the whole ride everybody saw it. Nobody saw it when it was dark, but then obviously you could see that patch of orange right where his bum was, and it was quite interesting. And then the purple one, was it then as well? Because it's a kind of a royal color, purple for the pad. That was something you said, okay, because it's something so unique, it's something so special that you give it a cool color.
Yeah, right. So amethyst, we call it the color. So yes, the main point was we are always looking then what color could be the next one, and behind that color was a little bit the royals were dressing in this kind of purple color in the old times. So we said, why not using that? Because it's a nice link. So also to our slogan, sponsor yourself, doing something good to yourself by using that color. So I mean, we have some funny names, some Germanic names, let's say, on the shell side with Schlosshund or Sturmprinz. So since the weather is not always good in Germany, we said it might sound good and also has some truth in it by giving those German names to those shell products.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, that's a cool idea. Yeah. What do you think about undershirt? Obviously, we're very interested in summer collections. Do you think people should wear an undershirt under the jersey, or would you rather say no? Is it certain temperatures where you say, okay, you recommend it, or what's your take on that?
Okay, in summer times, it's very personal. I mean, when it's really hot, I think you're happy to just having one layer, which is then the jersey, or if you even wear one piece road suit, that you don't wear underneath the base layer. But when it gets slightly colder, the base layer, I mean, the key function is really to take the sweat from the skin, because actually, how do you feel cold? It's actually when wind comes onto your skin and your skin is wet. That's when you actually have the feeling of, now it starts to be a bit cold. So once actually the base layer takes that sweat from your body, you know, you feel much more comfortable. So we always recommend when temperature is dropping to really wear a base layer. And now we were just launching a new skin layer, we call it generation, which is really from a no sleeve to a heavy winter long sleeve base layer. And it's really interesting when you play around with the different thickness of base layers, how you can also then create your outfit with perhaps just a light shell on top or a light long sleeve jersey on top, rather than taking a warm jacket. So base layers are super important, yes, to feel comfortable on the bike.
What's your favorite piece in the collection? Do you have anything which sticks out for you where you say, listen, this is my absolute favorite product?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky working at Assos, so we have great products, I think, in quite a lot of different climate ranges. So right now, I mean, in Germany, the temperature is dropping. I really love our Equipe RS, we call it the Spring-Fall collection, the 2-3. The shorts are great. It's always just taking the summer shorts with a little heavier fabric, more fleecy fabric, but still very stretchable. It's great, comfort even if temperature is dropping. And also the Spring-Fall jacket, there's no membrane, and it works with a double layer fabric on the front. So it's in the inside of the jacket, it's almost like a second skin layer, base layer fabric, which takes then the sweat from the base layer. So the base layer is actually keeping pretty dry while riding, and you don't feel cold. And the good thing is it's not with a membrane. A membrane is always limited in terms of breathability. So the Spring-Fall jacket on the RS line is right now one of my favorite pieces.
Especially now in the weather comes a little bit colder and so on. I think I'm sure that's a great piece. We have in Dubai a lot of growing cyclists as well on the female side, and obviously they appreciate the extra level of comfort. And you have a Diora shorts. Yeah, is Diora, you know, the name Diora stands for? Is there any meaning behind Diora?
We had that once as a name in an after bike wear collection, and we just liked the name, and we said Diora sounds cool, so give that to the women's line the name. So there's no renaming behind that one. But yeah, I mean, launching that racing collection for women for us was also very important now, as we see that in more and more markets, women are riding longer distances, also not just for fun, it's more really like training hard. And so that's why we felt it's time really to launch also a racing collection for women.
We have another cool clip from Assos about the Diora, and ask Will, please, if you would mind to share this with us, please. Very nice. Yeah, I can really tell you the feedback we're getting from the shorts, from all the community and from the ladies, from the men is really, really amazing. And I think you really make cycling a whole lot more comfortable, especially in Dubai. Obviously, we're sitting a lot. The whole Middle East is fairly flat, and you sit many, many hours, you paddle, and the shorts make a big difference. Do you recommend for everyone they should use chamois cream, or you think is it half, 50-50 that people go with or without the chamois cream, or is this something you would feel like that's a clear recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question actually. So it's again very personal. I mean, some they can't ride without. I must be honest, I'm not putting it in every ride. So when I just go for a shorter ride, I don't put it. But yeah, if you do long distances, it's something that help you to prevent some irritation on the skin, let's say, because it really, if there's friction, then the cream helps to avoid that friction. So it's an extra protection on the skin. It's a very good product, very successful with that one.
You're selling quite a lot of this, yeah. Do you have any tips for people to how to maintain the clothing? So let's say you come home from a ride, what you do with the clothes, or what shouldn't you do, and what's maybe some of the things you should really avoid to have a long time joy with your Assos gear?
That's a very important point. Thank you for raising that one. So by handling it correctly, you really extend the longevity of the product. So we always recommend to wash it after the use. If you're traveling, you don't have to always wash it with detergent and so on. It even helps just rinse it in water, because especially on the bib shorts, we see that if you don't wash it, the acid from the sweat is actually deteriorating the lycra fiber. So it's like going into a swimming pool with the chlorine and so on. You also need to wash your swimming suit. So it's actually the same also in our garments. So always wash it, not too hot. So always say 30 degrees. Also with a gentle cleanser detergent. So that's very, very important. And not tumble dried. So that's another point.
Okay. If people start into cycling, and obviously then they have the shorts, would you rather say buy them, obviously right fitting, but if it's rather a little bit bigger, rather a bit smaller, is there any tips you would give people how to go along? Obviously everybody hopes to lose some weight, and okay, I buy them a little smaller, but what's your tip? Is the material, when it's too much under stretch, is it really not lasting as long? And how long maybe could you expect a short to last when you use it quite frequently?
Lots of questions, so good. Yeah, sizing is very important. I mean, again, mainly on the shorts and tights, because I said before, having the chamois sitting in the right position, the seams and so on is very important. So people that are not used to dress cycling apparel tend to buy always a number too big, which then makes the ride not so comfortable. So that's why we always recommend also to visit the local Assos dealer and getting dressed properly. That's why we invest also quite a lot in product training, also how to size properly the customers. So that's key. Then with having different lines, depends a little bit how people want to ride, taking it a bit more easy or riding very long distances. Other guys really looking for racing. So there it's important also to choose the right product. So the most expensive is not always the best product for everybody. So that's important to know. And I mean, our fabrics are pretty elastic, and we pay a lot on of time in product development and testing. So also our Swiss Cycling Federation, the NTT team, for us is also a little bit the test team. So when we started sponsoring again a Pro Tour team, we tend to give them a little less products, especially on the bib shorts, to see if they can actually wear them out. and so far they didn't really manage that. So it's really our intention to make it, to choose the right materials to make the products lasting as long as possible. So
very good, very good. Oh, fantastic. Any things we can expect from Assos in the future? Any product Scrabble? Anything you feel like is coming new to the market? Anything you feel like we cyclists should really consider when going into the Assos world? What's the best thing to start? Buy the shorts and buy the whole kit. I love the socks, by the way. When I have a pair of socks from you guys, and I'm a bit of a sock guy, and it's really, it makes such a difference. Yeah, a good pair of socks. The cycling comfort you can get there is really fantastic. So well done as well, not only on the shorts, as well on the socks. They're really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, what to dress first, we see, socks is actually a funny point. We're also selling quite a lot of those because, I mean, if you want to go into the Assos world, I mean, and you like the design or color and fit, you can see quite a lot of people riding socks and perhaps not the rest of the outfit. Normally, I mean, the contact points with the bike is the most important, and then the main being the pair of shorts. So that makes a big difference if you invest a bit of money into that. Doesn't need to be straight, the most expensive one, but if you buy an expensive bike, there should be also some money left to buy a good pair of bib shorts. That's let's say the most important one. And as we discussed before, and then you have all the other tools. I mean, we consider our collection being more kind of equipment and not just fashion. I mean, it really depends when you ride, how long you ride, what kind of tools you use for dressing up properly.
Obviously, super important. The question is, how long are the socks? Yeah, what's at the moment the style advice from Assos? Is it just under the calf, a little bit lower, a little bit higher? So what we have to do to make it right?
I mean, every socks are getting longer and longer. We thought it's stopping one moment, but it's, this is really crazy. We are not known for our long socks, I must say. So we might have some work to do that in that way. It's very personal, but we see that socks are getting longer and longer. Below the calf or even at the start of the calf already. And same on the sleeve lengths on the jerseys, that's also getting longer and longer. And on shorts, that has been always a discussion, but even there, the current look is to wear pretty long shorts as well. So everything is long right now.
Okay, just go with Assos and you're going to be right. So that's maybe the tip. Yeah, that's good. Listen, Peter, I'm conscious of your time, and I really want to thank you for taking the time and giving us an insight into the Assos world. And I have to tell you, we're really, really proud to work with you guys. And I think sometimes maybe it doesn't come across, and you don't see this maybe because we're dealing with a lot of customers. We're selling a lot of your products, and we get an amazing feedback. And I want to say thanks to all the team at Assos, all the people working there, all the ladies making the shorts. And I think you make a big, big, big difference when it comes to comfort and the fun people have on the bike, because obviously nothing worse than being uncomfortable on the bike. And we really see, especially in the Dubai market, your shorts have an amazing standard in the market, and people love the product, and we're really, really happy to be associated with the brand. And thanks to everyone from Dubai to Switzerland.
Yeah, thank you very much also for representing our brand, our products in your market for so many years. So we really happy to have you in our Assos family. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we have in 2 weeks we have a special guest, Ironman world champion Frederik van Lierde. He's on the show. I'm really excited to speak to him. Won Ironman Hawaii, and it's going to be quite exciting. So thank you very much, Peter. Again, thanks for your time, and I hope the people watching enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Wolfi. So all the best.
All the best. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.